Hey guys, what is going on? It's Ben again, and 2016 is coming to a close. As of recording this, it is December 31st, 2016, and it is around, it's around 6 o'clock in Eastern Standard Time. I live on the East Coast, so wherever you are, time differs. So, the new year is coming, and, you know, I thought it would be a little appropriate to look back on all of the tech that we saw, the biggest topics, the biggest news, all of that, just to see, you know, the biggest things that changed tech in 2016, from computers to phones to other things. So yeah, let's look back. So starting with Apple. Apple had pretty big things happen in 2016. For the first time in 15 years, Apple's reported a drop in iPhone sales, which is crazy because the iPhone is like the most popular phone. I mean, I always see people at school with iPhones, so I thought that was pretty interesting that for the first time in 15 years, Apple reported a drop in iPhone sales. Also, Apple got into some legal issues with the FBI as they refused to unlock an iPhone that was owned by a terrorist, the attacks in Los Angeles. So, obviously, a lot of people got, you know, very interested about encryption, security, and all that, and the FBI could not force Apple to unlock the iPhone. They fought back, and after many court dates, it seemed that the whole thing was resolved. Samsung also had a really big year, but it's not for the way you think. Although the S7 was pretty successful, also the phone that everyone knew about was the Note 7, and it wasn't for the reason you think, obviously. Obviously, you know, all the Note 7s got recalled because of the exploding battery, which caused a lot of people to be afraid of buying a Samsung phone, and as a result, Samsung stocks dropped. Like, their stocks just completely plummeted, and it was a horrible thing for Samsung. On the other hand, LG and Motorola actually had a very big year when they finally introduced modular components into their smartphones. The LG G5 was the first to feature LG's Magic Slot. You know, you could switch out the battery, you know, put on new components like a speaker and stuff like that. And the Moto Z also was a very huge success because you could, you know, put a speaker on it, you could put a projector. It was a really interesting change-up. And keeping on Android, Google, you know, the people who push out Android, they made their own phone, finally ditching the Nexus line, and they made their phone the Google Pixel. It's going to get the stock Android update. It obviously got Nougat right out of the box, obviously, and it's going to be the fastest to receive Android updates. And the Google Pixel was a huge success, seeing that the Nexus line was just completely diminished. It was a pretty incredible thing. USB Type-C was also a huge impact on 2016, with everything spreading. Every device now I see, usually a lot of them have USB Type-C, from big devices like smartphones and tablets and laptops and full-size computers. You know, they're on motherboards, on off-the-shelf parts that you can build your own PC with. Those have USB Type-C, but also smaller components like flash drives and external hard drives and headphones. Yeah, they're making USB Type-C headphones. I mean, I wouldn't really see the need unless you have a headphone jack, but that's also dying out. But that's the only reason, if you don't have a headphone jack, that you would need a Type-C for your Android phone, Moto Z. Social media also took a huge hit for two websites that I found pretty interesting and wanted to include in this video: Twitter and YouTube. With Twitter, they tried to sell themselves and failed. It was pretty hilarious. And in terms of YouTube, they introduced an 8K option. It makes me feel bad that I had a 1080p monitor. If you're wondering, I have two standard monitors behind me. I sent my 1080p monitor to be repaired. It should be coming back fairly soon, but in the meantime I have two standard monitors, 1024, and now you can literally record video in full 4320p or 8K, and you can upload it to YouTube for everyone to see. And I thought 4K was overkill. Nvidia and AMD, two obviously large companies, clashed even harder than ever in 2016 with their, obviously their budget offerings, and with their flagship offerings. Obviously Nvidia had, you know, the GTX 1080, GTX 1070, that obviously dominated, this year, but there was also the 1060 and 1050 Ti, and there was also obviously the RX 480, That was a great card. It's one of my favorite cards of this year. I currently have an R9 380 that's running in my system. I will be doing a full review on that, but it came out earlier than that. And really, seeing the RX 480 and 1060 clashed in the benchmarks, they were so close together, and I really think that, you know, budget graphics cards are getting cheaper and cheaper, and good graphic cards are getting cheaper and cheaper, you know? Everything's getting cheaper, and everything's getting better, excellent 1080p offerings, you know, and some even able to game at 1440p, and this is obviously, I'm very excited for 2017 because they're going to have a huge amount of budget graphics cards that are going to be much better. So 2016 was really a nice view for budget graphics cards and high-end graphics cards. Virtual reality also took off in 2016 with, you know, like, obviously with high hardware requirements and obviously really nice-looking games. I mean, you know, the Oculus Rift took off, you know Samsung's, what's it called, a VR headset, and the HTC Vive, those really took off this year, and virtual reality gaming is obviously ahead of us. We're going to be seeing a lot more of it, and I'm personally really excited to see. I mean, obviously the hardware requirements are pretty heavy, but that doesn't mean that it's in the future, and I really expected 2016 to be the year of virtual reality, and it kind of succeeded, with a lot of PC builds straight up benchmarking virtual reality. M.2 SSDs also made a huge splash in 2016, you know, off the shelf, you can buy them, and they're being set as the new standard to replace SATA. So, I mean, it destroys SATA pretty much because SATA has like a 600 megabit per second bottleneck, and M.2 SSDs go way beyond that. And I personally find it really interesting, you know, how fast they are. So, yeah, I mean, they're pretty much destroying SATA at this point. And I think M.2 SSDs are going to get even faster as 2017 comes around. The Samsung 950 EVO and 950 Pro were obviously very impressive, and it was just amazing, pretty much. Intel's Kaby Lake CPU line, you know, the new architecture, it arrived in 2016. I mean, leaked benchmarks of the actual one that you could put in a PC, you know, the CPU, its benchmarks got leaked, and it was amazing to see how powerful it was. You know, just how strong it was, how it could handle basic tasks, the hyper-threading, the overclocking, it was just incredible. But you can actually buy Kaby Lake mini PCs and laptops on Amazon right now. I think there's a mini PC for under $400, so Intel's Kaby Lake is going to be a huge player in 2017, and obviously with AMD's Zen line coming up, that's also just going to be... I really can't wait for the CPU line in 2017, to be honest. And finally, DirectX 12 games really made a splash in 2016, especially with the launch of Ashes of the Singularity, which was the first DirectX 12 game made public. And I just found it pretty cool. I haven't played the game yet, and I personally want to get it on Steam, but in all honesty, DirectX 12 is going to make a splash. 3D Mark already has a benchmark completely dedicated to DirectX 12, TimeSpy I believe it's called. I haven't benchmarked it, but with the codename Eliana PC and with the codename Jarvis Hackintosh that you guys saw on Twitter, I think I will be benchmarking those, obviously, once I give them official names, and I will be benchmarking them with the TimeSpy DirectX 12 test, so keep an eye on that. And yeah, that's just some of the things I really saw interesting about 2017. Yeah, that's pretty much a lot of the things I found interesting in 2016, a lot of the huge stories that came out, and personally those were really my picks for what happened in 2016. Obviously I left out a lot of stuff. I mean, like the Windows 10 anniversary update, a lot of people, you know, had issues with that. Some had great things with that, and there was just a lot of stuff I missed out, so if you'll tell me what your favorite thing about 2016 is in the tech world, please leave in the comments below. I dug through a lot of articles, you know, dug through what a lot of people have been saying, and yeah, so here's to 2017, and I have a lot of new videos coming up that I think you'll like. So, thanks for watching, and Happy New Year. This has been Vasquez, signing out.